Hey you guys, I just wanted to take this opportunity and to let you know we have the up and coming Game Changers Summit live coming up on January 27th to 29th. A 3-day virtual experience with 24 world-class game-changing leaders from around the world. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship, marketing, branding, personal development, health, self-mastery, business and leadership, just to mention a few. We're going to be featuring Dr. John D. Martini, Marshall Goldsmith, Bob Berg. We're going to be featuring the Instagram influencer, Natasha Grano, and many, many more. Now, you can become a participant in the Game Changer Summit Live for free. All you have to do is go to the following URL, https:// www.thegamechangersummit.com/sign-up-form. For more information, click on the link below, because honestly, this is probably the David versus Goliath of all summits. It is the summit of the year. See you soon, take care, and we'll see you there.
This is the Game Changers Experience. Deep dive conversations with leading business disruptors, Olympic athletes, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and influencers from around the world. This show will teach you insights about the winning principles in mindset, productivity, marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, business strategy, and more. Hosted by Productivity Authority, business strategist, former elite athlete, author, and public speaker, Adam Strong.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Game Changers Experience with myself, Adam Strong. And today we actually have a very special episode. It is the Game Changers Summit Extra Edge, I suppose I like to call it, or extra snapshot, or whatever it is. But we're going to be having a spotlight on certain speakers within the summit, and we're going to have a great show today. We're with Rory Atkinson, and Rory is a digital marketing and branding specialist based in South Africa. He's worked, him and his clients, him and his firm has worked with a variety of different international clients from around the world and companies. And in order to help them relaunch their marketing campaigns, which, marketing is such a big field to really kind of get to grips with. And Rory has got some great expertise and some great gems that he's going to share with you today. So just want to say welcome to the Game Changers Experience, Rory.
How's it going, Adam? It's nice to see you, man. It's nice to see you again. It's always nice to chat with you. I haven't actually had a good chance to catch up with you for a little bit, except for last week when we were jumping on that Clubhouse together.
Absolutely. I don't know if you guys are on Clubhouse, but if you're not on Clubhouse, you need to be. By the way, if you're thinking, how do I get on Clubhouse, right? You need to have an Apple phone for a start. And it's only in beta mode. But anyway, that's a whole new conversation. We're going to talk about that another day. But listen, I know that before you got into marketing, because you're in South Africa, you're in Cape Town, South Africa, beautiful country. Yeah. And I know that you were in rescuing businesses beforehand, before you got into marketing, right? But I'm fascinated because rescuing businesses and marketing, two very different remits, as I like to call it. But how did you kind of make the transition? Why did you make the transition into the marketing field?
So, it's kind of interesting. When I started off in the business turnaround, I sort of fell into it as an industry, and I was doing it with. I got the opportunity to buy my first really crappy bankrupt business that was absolutely ruined at the time and losing money faster than I could make it. Anyway, so when I got involved in that, I learned very quickly the value and power of marketing, and I developed a keen interest in it already back then. And then when I did my next business, my next one, and my next one, and my next one, I ran into this consistent problem that actually I didn't have time to do all my own marketing anymore. So I did what most business entrepreneurs do. I went to a marketing company and I sat down with this marketing company and I had a long conversation with them about the needs of my types of businesses, price points, and how we were going to go about it and all the rest of it. And they were fully on board, promising the world. And like every other person out there that's experienced a marketing company in the last 10 years, I got overcharged and underdelivered like you can't believe.
Yeah,
And
I've
and it
experienced that as many of us have.
I'm sure you
I
have.
hate that crap.
It drove me mental. And in particular, there was one thing that really the last sort of straw that broke the camel's back was I was busy looking at setting up a new website, both in a personal branding site for myself and then also a new website for my consulting firm, which I'd started by that time, a business consulting firm. And I basically took it to them, and they told me that I had to pay, at the time it was about 75,000 rand per website. So what's that? At the time it was about 7,500 US dollars per website.
Wow.
And these were not complex websites that I was looking for. They were fairly straightforward sites. Um, and and I said, I don't know at the time, but okay, fine. I've done some work with you guys. You guys deliver some good work, but I mean that's a little excessive. Anyway, cut a long story short, I ended up just doing all the design work, all the copywriting myself, all the color schemes. I chose all the images. I basically designed the damn site myself. Short of writing the code, I built the bloody site. And I just said, screw this. And then I met this young guy, Nick Findley, who's actually my business partner. And he was still at university at Cape Town studying computer science.
Mhm.
And so I said to him, hey, listen, we met this business summit. I said, yes, I've had this horrible experience with a web developer. He says, well, why don't you let me take a crack at it? I build websites. Okay, sure. Here's a client of mine. Go build a website for them. And this is what I want. And I gave him almost no information. And he came back with a beautiful website that produced, 100 and something sales in the first week. And I was just like, damn, okay, this guy knows his shit. So I said to him after about a month or two of like handing him the odd project, I said, hey, listen, Nick, why don't you come and work sort of semi-exclusively for me, and I'll give you some referrals to other people as well as not just my clients on the consulting side and turnaround side. And then I thought, no, do you know what? This is silly. Let's build a business. I mean, I've got enough work here that's viable. And so that's what we did. So that's kind of how I landed up in it. And the
Mm.
foundation of our business was we don't want to be like every other web developer out there that delivers crap service to people. And obviously that naturally evolved into marketing, digital marketing over time,
Mhm.
as we needed to hand further services to clients. So yeah, that's kind of the journey that we took to get there. It
Nice.
was,
Very cool. Very
yeah,
good. Yeah,
it's a bit
I
of
can
an
definitely,
evolution.
even with some of our listeners, I'm sure that they could probably empathize about the whole kind of being overcharged and under delivered type of thing.
Listen,
And
I mean, every client that comes to us, we listen to the horror story. Every single client that's come
yeah,
to us has got
yeah.
a horror story to tell us.
But, but,
And
but you
yeah,
know
that's
what?
what we're trying to stop.
Sometimes it's actually not. I was going to say it's actually partially the person's fault as well.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
because I'm a big believer, Rory, in due diligence, right? Making sure that, if you can talk the talk, right, you've got to be able to walk the walk, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
for me, like the people that I hang around with, I know that they're going to deliver the results. They're going to, especially, because at the end of the day, it's my reputation, it's my branding, right? So I don't want to be associated with some loser that like makes some promises and doesn't deliver on them, because they're just going to get a slap from me. And more importantly, they're going to get a slap. But anyway, it's all good. But listen, let's talk marketing, because I know that
Yeah.
marketing is a bit of a minefield, right?
Oh man,
it's
2021 marketing is,
it's
woo, it's fun. I mean, you and I had that chat last week about some of the brand algorithm stuff. Oh
oh
man, the
Jesus.
2021's marketing world has changed in a big way
Mm,
from. I mean, this is the thing that people don't get about the new digital marketing age.
mm,
It
mm,
changes so quickly. I mean,
mm.
I was actually talking to Les Evans, who's going to be a speaker on your summit. I was talking with him on the phone over the weekend, and I said to him, "So Les, have you seen the latest algorithm change?" He goes, "What what do you mean the latest change? You phoned me 2 days ago to tell me about this change." I said to him, "Yeah, but it's another one now."
Oh my
And that's the
God.
thing. I actually said to him, I spend probably about 4 days working a week, and the other 2 days to 3 days a week I spend researching, and my team does as well,
Mm,
researching what is the latest trend, what's happening now, and things. Because each of these platforms that you deal with in the marketing world,
right.
they just change how the game is played from week to week to week. I mean, sometimes days to days to days. Do you know how many times Google changed their algorithm last year?
Didn't you say it was like something like 19,000 or some ridiculous figure. I
Yeah,
was like,
over 19,000 times they changed their algorithm last
that's
year. And
astronomical.
it's impossible for a normal business person like yourself
Mm,
who's trying to run their business to keep up with that.
mm.
It's impossible to stay on top of it. So the question is begged, how do you stay on top of it as a normal business owner? And I can say that, there's a lot of ways you can do this. You can kind of you can either read a hell of a lot like I do,
Mm,
and subscribe to hundreds of blogs and all that kind of thing, and just try and filter through the mess as best you can. There's a couple of really top people in the marketing world that are worth following. Neil Patel's a very good one to follow. Gary Vee is a very good one to
mm,
follow.
mm,
There's a couple of other bigger ones that specialize in sort of privatized corporate marketing. If you're a big enough company, then that's people you should go and look up. But the best thing that you as a business owner can do is just contact and reach out to marketers and ask for tips. You
mm.
know, the funny thing that I found in the marketing world is we're a funny bunch. We kind of like talking about the stuff we do. So you can kind of bounce some ideas off. I mean, you can ask companies for inquiries. I do that to other marketing companies. I reach out to them and I say, hey, look, I mean, we're thinking of doing this. What would you guys think is the best way to do this? And
Mm.
sometimes I've been informed, hey, that's not the right way to go about it, or this is the right way to go about it. Um, and so for you as a business owner, don't try and absorb all of it yourself. You'll never get on top of it. I can tell you that now. I mean, we struggle to stay on top of it. But what you can do is you can sort of absorb a little bit of useful information here, a little bit of useful information here. And then the final thing that you can do as a business owner, and this is really critical, do not try and do all of it. You can't. It's impossible. If you want to do well at digital marketing as a business owner, and you're not going to outsource it to a company like mine, right? You're going to go and do it all yourself individually. You will not have a company in 5 days because that's all you will be doing. Instead, what you should be doing is pick one platform that you want to work with, one that suits your business type, and that's a very important key component, and the type of market that you specifically want to chase, and then go directly at that. And in fact, there's two ways you can do it. One is through community building, which I'm going to be talking at your summit about, community building and community management processes. And then the other way is through very, very focused target approaches, and just become a specialist in one platform. And that's the best advice I can say to an entrepreneur that wants to do some of their own marketing.
It's
Why don't you
interesting.
focus?
There's an old saying in the UK, or a British saying more than anything else, and they say, "The jack of all trades." What do they call it? Yeah,
Master of none.
exactly. And it's so true, because I'm so sick and tired of people who try to serve everyone. They try to be an expert of everyone. It's a bit like
You
taking
can't.
it's a bit like taking a birthday cake, right? And everyone is going after the whole birthday cake, right? But the realization is, and this is a really good point, guys, if you're listening, okay, is to actually take like a small piece of that birthday cake and become, I suppose, an expert at at that particular niche, or that particular industry, or whatever it is. And I find that just by honing down and by I suppose laser focusing on that particular niche and becoming an expert in that 1% field, you're going to become you're going to become successful in your own right. So
I
which
mean,
is
you can do it with everything in the digital advertising space. Okay. The one thing I'm going to also say, which is going to be very controversial, is I'm not a big social media person.
mm,
I don't. I have seen the value of these platforms fall rapidly in the last 8 to 12 months. They were
mm,
already sort of tanking before that, but they really plummeted a lot now. In fact, that was the point of our conversation the other day. And one thing I'll say is you can do quite a lot with paid advertising these days. Really, really smart, intelligent, focused paid advertising. You can do a lot with it. And I know everybody's got that story, oh, I ran that Facebook ad campaign and I put like $1,000 in and I
mm,
made no
mm.
money out of it, and I got all these rubbish leads. Yeah, that's because you didn't first learn how to utilize the platform, and you didn't learn how to talk to your correct market. There's a general rule that I say to people that want to build marketing campaigns: test everything,
Mm.
micro tests.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
we'll run a micro test on a new campaign for like $20 just
Right.
for 2 days, just to see whether there's any feedback in that area and that response.
Mm.
We'll really target in on specific locations. So it goes beyond even just, what you were describing of niche your focus. Become so niche at your niche that you are the ultimate nicher. And sorry, cheesiness. But yeah, that's kind of where you can really get some great results is by testing on a small scale. And then once you've kind of worked out what's working, what's not working, what's responding, and this can be everything from what image do you use, or are you using
Mm.
video over a single image, or are you doing your paid advertising just in Google? Google is
Mm.
delivering amazing paid advertising results at the moment,
Mm.
and you can actually see some amazing returns there. But
Mm.
you need to be able to know how to design your ads, pick the right keywords and all this, and you can just test in microcosms. It costs you nothing to spend a month testing and see what works and what doesn't work,
True.
and then drop, $2,000-$3,000. You'll suddenly go, woof, your taps will explode, and you'll be like,
Yeah.
oh my word, I don't know what to do with all these leads. That's the next step.
Very cool. Very cool. Interestingly enough, I was going to ask you because I know that you kind of already mentioned it before about, kind of laser focusing on one particular platform that you think would be kind of where your ideal market kind of hangs out. But I guess, and this is, I suppose, in a way, it's not so much more of a concern now, but it used to be. But I know for a fact that our listeners are going to be concerned about this. Let's talk about content, because when you watch people like Gary Vee, for example, and I love Gary Vee, by the way, I think he's a great guy. I know he's the type of person that just talks no bullshit type of thing. But what I really love, what was really interesting, I was listening to a podcast about content, and Gary says, when you create content, you need to be on every platform, get it out there 3 times a day if you want to get any traction. And you've got to be consistent and you've got to just go all out. But I'd love to get your opinion on this because it's interesting because I'm expecting probably a different answer from you, obviously. But what's your take on this?
So I mean, Gary Vee is really a beast, but you've also got to remember who his client market is. His
Mm,
client market is massive corporate
mm,
companies. So yeah, in his sphere that he is talking, he's 100% right. They do have to be on every platform, every
mm.
space, all the time, constantly. Although I would disagree with the constantly part, even for big corporate companies.
Right.
Um, the reason is that in early 2020, right? People all dived onto the internet because of the big CV, right? And everybody kind of dived onto it and started delivering as much content. And there's so much noise out there now because of this just absolute content farm dump, right? And people can't cut through it. There just isn't enough time in their lives to cut through it. They're not interested, and they've got what I call content fatigue. um, there is good content that you can do, and in actual fact, I've got a very good friend of ours that's also based here in South Africa, Mr. Tim Slatter, who focuses on content-driven marketing strategies for financial industry, and he does amazing. Him and his team do amazing work specifically for financial advisors, and
Mm,
what. And he and I actually had a meeting just before this call to discuss some new content strategy development that we're working on together for our clients. And the one thing that we both said is we have seen a content fatigue online specifically. If you transition your content into something like an email or a once a month high quality blog, quality is really where content does well. If your quality of your blogs are, oh, I'm just going to throw up a quickie, you know, half page rubbish smashed together blog with no interest or anything like that. Um, yeah, you're not going to get anything. You're just not going to get viewership. You're not going to get readership. And most importantly, you're not going to get repeat viewership and repeat readership. And that's kind of where the crux of power content marketing comes in, is the ability to deliver high quality, not overbearing and constantly in your face kind of content volumes, but enough that it keeps people engaged and interested. And the other one that we've also talked about is when you do content for people that can start a conversation between them and their clients. If your relationship is with a B2B company, then you're delivering them content that they can then take to their clients and say, hey, have you thought about this? Or, oh, I read this really interesting thing. And it starts a content conversation. And that's ultimately what you want to do. And I'll go into this a lot more in detail on the summit, because it's one of the components of community marketing. But for the purpose of answering your question, yeah, I disagree with Gary vehemently. For most small to medium scale businesses, dumping everything onto multiple platforms is a waste of time. You're just going to end up spending too much of your ad budget. You won't really get return. Anybody that's tracking their Facebook interactions in the last sort of 6 months will have noticed the numbers have plummeted massively. And at the end of the day, you've got to ask yourself, Adam, do you want vanity stats or do you want sales? And
True.
that's always the question I ask clients. If you want vanity stats, I can get you likes, I can get you follows, I can get you, by all means, but they don't turn into money.
No.
And that's the trick.
Yeah,
You've got to learn how to build the money machine out of your marketing.
it's true.
And less is often more.
It's interesting. One of the things that I believe is really needed, especially in 21, is the importance for engagement and connection, right?
Yep.
So creating content which is going to create conversations, which is going to lead to trust and understanding and empathy, which is then going to lead to sales. Because when there's trust and there's this element of trust and relationship building, then that's where the conversations are going to lead.
And
Uh,
and honesty is a real big thing. I mean,
yeah.
we have seen in some of our clients when we used to run old adverts. So in 2019, we used to run some adverts for some of our clients, and we bent the truth a little. I mean, we used some manipulative marketing tactics and things like that, and it got really good results. And then
Sure.
we tried to use it again in 2020, and it fell flat in its
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
And so began an exploration for almost 4 months of trying to work out what's working, what's not working. And we found just be really honest, be really, take the attitude that the person that you're talking to online has probably been lied to, screwed over, manipulated, everything else in the last year. And distrust is at an all-time low. I mean, even in society, I don't mean just online, but distrust is at an all-time low. So if you can become a source of information and value, really good value to
Right.
a client, that they know they can trust. And it's not just an automated system, it's a real person. It's one of the things I love about your branding style is you come across as a real person, happy to have a conversation, happy to jump onto LinkedIn and just say, hey, how's it going? What's up, man? And the 2-minute interaction once a week makes a huge difference for
Yeah.
people. Um,
Absolutely.
and we're seeing that as well for our clients. So we're actually pushing interaction engagement processes much harder this year than we have in previous years.
Yeah. Interesting. Because I know that a lot of people right now, and well, I've certainly done it in the past, is to try and automate and systemize things like this. But it doesn't work because an example of this is, for example, I know that LinkedIn, as an example, they can pick up if you're using some particular bot or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't work, guys, because people need this. Like I said, they need to have human interaction. They need to feel that they're speaking to a real person in the first place, and not speaking to a robot, which is just completely, it's just doesn't, it goes against the grain, really. It doesn't build a trust there and whatever it is. But
Well, I think everybody is at the moment. Sorry to cut you.
yeah.
I think everybody at the moment is, a lot of people are in lockdown, so they're not
Mm,
socializing, they're not seeing people.
right.
Long before that, every institution that you dealt with. I mean, when you were younger, did you go and you met with your banker, right? Nowadays, you pick up the phone and you phone an automated telephone, right?
Exactly.
You've lost the human element in the world of business, and I think it was sufferable until the big CV problem, but now it's become so apparent that people are hungry for it. If you can turn your business into a platform that can allow that personal, real personal touch. I mean, We've even started writing emails individually to clients on behalf of other clients. Like
Mm.
that's a real personal value touch there, and people respond. I mean, we've seen it in our open rates have gone up massively in those. We've seen it in all these things. So it's yeah.
Interesting. Really interesting. I want to talk a little bit about, well, we kind of touched in a little bit before around the whole kind of how social media platforms, because they've been around for many years and like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and whatever it is, they've been around for quite a number of years. And, I feel right now, we had this conversation last week, right, about the whole kind of, why is it that I'm not getting the engagement that I used to? Or why is it that people are not seeing my posts? And I'm thinking to myself, is it because people are asleep? Is it because it was the wrong time of the day? Right. And then we were talking about this last week, and it's like, no, they're manipulating. They've got these weird algorithms now, which is basically they don't like you anymore, type of thing. And I'm like, okay, we need to have a conversation about this because because I'm sure that our listeners are probably thinking the same thing. They're like, this doesn't happen to me normally, but what's going on around this? But yeah, let's talk about how to get around the whole kind of manipulation. And
Oh man,
we could
you're
be here
talking
for
about.
quite some time here,
I
guys,
was
right?
gonna say, man, we could start another 3 podcasts for that conversation. It's like, which platform do you want to talk about? Really, like what you're dealing with here is you're dealing with companies that have basically a tech monopoly over the world at the moment, and in fact, we've just seen it now with the dissolution of Parler, right? Having all of Parler pulled and all the rest of it,
Mm,
basically overnight, and that's pure collusion between 3 massive companies that have done that. But at the same time that they're doing stuff like that, killing the competitors, they're also manipulating you, the user, and they're trying to basically put you into little bubbles. And their algorithms are working like that. They want to keep you interacting with the same groups of people because they know that those groups of people talk back to you.
uh-huh.
And so that's kind of how the algorithm is triggering. It's sort of looking at let's actually use Clubhouse as a good example of a format which they're sort of semi-emulating. Does that make sense? Okay, say let's take all of your listeners now, you and me, we all jump onto a Clubhouse,
Right.
but now you're not allowed to go anywhere. Now you're dealing with Facebook's algorithm. That's how it
Mm,
works. You
mm,
can only talk to each other, you can only see each other, you can only interact with each other. And then maybe what they'll do is they'll bring 1 or 2 here or there that might have correlatory interaction potential, and then they'll bring them into the conversation every now and again. And that's why when you look at your Facebook feed, for example, I'm going to just use Facebook because it's probably one that the listeners are most familiar with. But when you look at your Facebook feed, you're probably seeing the same 40 to 60 odd people,
true.
repeat posts, the same companies, even the same adverts, the same,
True.
all of this. And basically what they're doing is they're putting you in little bubbles. Now,
Mm,
the question becomes, can you as an end user get out of it? Not really, to be honest with you. It's very difficult for you as an end user to get out of it. But you as a business, you can actually get out of it. The only problem is it's going to cost you a little bit of money, and that's part of their business model. They have to monetize. They are at a scale now where their VC capital funding has sort of run out. Their volatility in the stock market is, I
mm.
mean, just last week, $123 billion. That was how much they've lost since banning the president of the United States between Twitter and
Crazy.
Facebook.
Crazy.
So their volatility is so massive that they actually need a steady income cash flow source. You and I both know that cash is king, right? Cash flow is king in a business, and they're no different. And so what they're doing is they're trying to create that. They're trying to find ways to monetize.
Right.
Um, the other thing that they're also trying to do is they're trying to isolate conversation types. So, for example, if you're regularly on there espousing political whatevers, then they're going to isolate you. They're going to
Mm,
keep you away from other people. Same
right.
thing with your businesses. If your businesses are up posting, special interest stuff
Mm,
that may conflict, they're going to isolate you. And that's why I say to people, just whatever you do on Facebook or any platform for that matter is don't get ideological. Stay away from it. Leave that to the politicians. Leave that to the religious figures and whatever else. And I've been guilty of this. I know. I mean, you can go back through my Facebook history and you
You
can
know,
see it.
it's
I used to do it
interesting.
2 years, three
You
years
know,
ago.
we're bringing this conversation up. I always say to my clients, I always say, never bring up politics and religion ever in your posts or whatever it is. Keep your beliefs to yourself, because I can guarantee you it will be your downfall, because everyone else has their own opinions and they're always casting judgments on yourself and whatever it might be. And again, Facebook is no different, right?
Yeah. Well, Facebook punishes and penalizes you big time,
Yeah.
even in your adverts. I mean, I'll give you an example. We ran an advert last year
Mm,
while the elections were going on, and we all know what the what the US election was like, right?
right.
So while the elections were going on, we actually ran an advert for a company in the States, and we put this advert up, and within about an hour and a half, it had got flagged and returned back to us and said to us, no, you can't post this ad. So we went through it and it said we had done political speech. And I was like, really? We've done political speech for a housing company? Like,
What?
there's no political speech in this thing at all. What are you talking about? So I went through the ad and I reviewed it. I gave it to one of my guys and I was like, what do you think? And he's like, I don't know. I've got no idea what they're coming up with. Let's try again. I mean, we'll take some of the bits out and we'll try again. We tried again. And this is where Facebook really nails you. So then they came back to us and they said, no, this absolutely is political speech. And we're giving your ad account a warning. Now, remember, we run ads for companies all
That's
over the
crazy.
world. An ad account warning is the worst thing you can get, because if you get another strike, your ad account gets locked for a couple days.
Right.
So we were like, oh, damn, well, now we need to really think hard. So we started to look at it from a different perspective. And I actually phoned a couple marketing guys. And you know what it was, Adam?
What?
We had an American flag in the picture, but in the background. And the American flag, marketing for an American company in America, was considered a political symbol.
Jesus, come on, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So let's go back to the original question. How do we
Yeah.
get around this whole kind of manipulation, and what is it that we can do as businesses, as entrepreneurs to get back or maybe reset those algorithms or whatever it is? Is there anything that we can do?
So, I mean, the big thing I would say to you is it depends on which platform you're on. First
Right.
off,
Right.
some of the algorithms are far more forgiving than others. Facebook is not forgiving, but there are tricks you can do to get around it. One of the things you can do is if you're running adverts, if you're running a business page, you can boost your advert using the standard little boost button, and then
Mm.
you go through a whole process of editing the advert and targeting it and all the rest of it. And you can just spend a little bit of money, about $100 to $150. You have to find what's called ad breakpoints, which is where the algorithm realizes, actually, these guys are okay. Let it go, right? The algorithm sort of stops hanging on with the brakes.
Right.
Um, and that's going to come down to whatever keywords you're using. So the more contested the keywords, the more money you're going to have to spend to reach that breakpoint. So, for example, if you're in, oh, God forbid, you're in child's toys, good luck. I hope you've got a big ad budget. It's the most contested ad field in the world. Don't try and advertise in child's toys. But you could do in business entrepreneurship and things, and it's typically there around between, depends on the country that you're going to boost to, and that's the other thing. Don't try and boost to, oh, I'll boost to Europe. Please don't do that. You're just wasting your time.
Yeah.
Boost to very specific countries and even specific areas, if you
Mm,
can,
mm.
provinces or counties
Territories
or
and stuff.
states or
Mm,
territories,
mm,
whatever it's
mm.
called in your country. Because what's going to happen is that some of them are more favored. So I'm just going to use the UK, for example. Like in the UK, there is in Facebook's eyes, a clear north and south divide. Okay. The north is considered evil, bad, and unpleasant.
It's those Scottish people. Sorry if there are any Scottish
It's even
listeners here.
further
I
south. It's all the
apologize.
way from Birmingham up. But no, it's kind of, all you need to do is you need to remember that Facebook is I hate being political, but they're a left leaning platform bordering on left wing platform.
Right.
And so if you just follow where the sort of trends are of the world, of where are the left wing talking hubs, then you know that's the area that you can quite safely advertise to, ironically, by boosting into that area separately. Then you can advertise north of that in a different way. And you'll have to be more careful in the north. So that's just an example from a country. On Facebook. If you're on LinkedIn, LinkedIn's actually pretty chill. Probably one of my favorite platforms at the moment, especially for businesses. But LinkedIn's not like Facebook. If you start posting rubbish, this is really important. If you start posting rubbish like you would post on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, the algorithm will pick you up and it will flag your account. It'll flag it as it's a closed flagging. You can't tell you're flagged, but it will flag your account. And then it'll monitor what you post from then on afterwards. And if you carry on posting rubbish, well, you might even lose your account.
Wow.
Or they'll just stranglehold you. They'll do what's called shadow banning. Twitter is famous for its shadow banning, for example. And you'll find that on Twitter quite a lot. Until recently, Parler was quite a good platform. They weren't actually that censorious. They were quite good about, what was and wasn't allowed. Reddit is a fantastic business platform. If you aren't doing stuff on Reddit and you've got a really solid sort of service industry business, Reddit's a great platform for you. Same thing with LinkedIn's also a really good platform. Instagram. Sure. I'm looking so forward to that speaker you got coming. Man, that influencer.
Natasha Grano.
Natasha
Grano. Absolutely.
I followed her stuff for a little while, actually, from a marketer's standpoint, because I found her way that she attacks Instagram really interesting from a technical standpoint. She's really knows her stuff.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking very forward to that talk.
Definitely.
Because Instagram's probably my least knowledgeable platform, to be honest with you. It's
sure.
We're getting better at it, but it's definitely my personal least knowledge platform.
Definitely.
So I hope that answers some of the questions of
absolutely 100%.
Because the problem is you're asking a question that's got like
it's got so many
of answers.
I 100%. No, but it gives you it gives a great brief overview and stuff. But
again, I come back to my original point, Adam. Pick a platform and work with that platform. And the platform really needs to suit your business. If you're in a product delivery company, do not please spend your time on LinkedIn. It's not going to be there's no point to it. Unless you're trying to wholesale, there's no point to it. LinkedIn is really a B2B platform or a service industries platform. It's not really a platform for you. I mean, you'll do really well on Instagram. In fact, Instagram's just introduced a new shop mechanic, which fully ties in with full WooCommerce stores and stuff. And we're seeing awesome results with that in terms of product sales, particularly if your product can be what I say visualized, so easily understood through a visual manipulation.
Nice.
Video or image or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as Rory had mentioned, Natasha's going to be on the Game Changers Summit. And if you don't already follow Natasha, she's got 1.3 million followers on Instagram. So she is the Instagram queen, as I like to call her. And she's also a personal friend of mine. So she's going to...
also a beast at monetizing it. And that's really the part that interests me.
She is a beast. Don't get me wrong. She's
it's all well and good, like I said, having the vanity stats, but to be able to turn it into a money-making machine, I mean, that's the part of that talk I'm looking forward to, really.
100%, definitely. Yeah. So I was going to say, last question, really. I know that this is a little bit of a minefield, but I know that some people or some of our listeners right now are really struggling to attract leads, because we're working in the digital space. They might not have so much experience in working in the digital revolution as such, but any sort of really kind of quick tips about how to increase leads in their business?
Quick tips. Let's see. First off, emails suddenly become a really powerful tool again. It died quite hard the last couple of years, but it's really come back with a vengeance. People are constantly in front of their computers. They're constantly checking their email. And if you're writing, like I said, really custom tailored stuff to people, it's very good on that front. So never underestimate the value of email marketing. It can be very good. And I'm not talking about buying lists and then sending mails like that. I'm talking about communicating value content to your clients who then disseminate it to other people.
Right.
We found that to be a really good strategy with some businesses.
Nice.
As far as generating leads, the best piece of advice I can give to you in a short nutshell, build a community. I mean, I'm going to talk about it at length, but build a community, because that way you can do your filtering process. You can kind of build the type of target market audience that you want, and then through just being you, or just being your company, your company's being sort of a personal relation to them, you can actually filter out all the crappy people that you don't really want, and you'll land up with a really nice group of people that eventually probably will become brand advocates, as long as you look after them, as long as you're not shoveling them rubbish.
Right.
So I'm trying hard not to swear here, but but
Freedom of speech, my friend. Freedom of speech.
yeah, well, the reason I'm careful about it is because I know what the algorithms look for in audio as well nowadays, and that's why you'll never hear me refer to the big thing as anything other than the big VC, especially in audio recordings, because it does heavily impact your algorithm.
Sure.
Last thing on the leads front, it sort of just popped into me, but please, guys, don't misunderstand the value of a really, really solid organic marketing facility. A really powerful brand website and that kind of thing really goes a long way for supporting your thing. Years ago, websites were all the rage, and everybody had to have one and things, and then it sort of lost its value, and it became squeeze pages and landing pages and that stuff. And now, in the time of COVID, where people are still online. Oh, bloody hell, I just said it. People are online. They have really sort of taken to spending time on good quality branded sites, and you use them, instead of using them just as a calling card or a business card, use them as a hub point for all of your different kinds of engagement points. So your email marketing, your stuff like that, drive people through it, include blogs there, make it a trafficable resource, make it something that people want to come visit, drop some videos there. I mean, you can even host your YouTube videos onto your websites nowadays with a simple plugin. It's not very difficult to
Right.
implement. And if you're doing some kind of online product store thing, that works really well. And then if you're coupling that with a great, tell people about your website, that they should come and visit, and why they should come and visit, and why it's different from just a squeeze or a landing page. I actually find those have really lost a lot of value in the last sort of 6 to 12 months or so in terms of their performance. I'm not saying that landing pages don't work; they do work. They just got to be very carefully designed. I find it's having a solid organic campaign, which means having a strong brand and a strong brand image that people want to talk to each other about online specifically, makes it really worth doing. And it comes back to what you were saying earlier, Adam. Have a conversation. Have a conversation. And that's why I think this Clubhouse thing is so cool, because it kind of promotes that, right?
Absolutely, 100%. In fact, we're going to be doing, as I mentioned to you, we're going to be doing Clubhouse events actually on a regular basis. So if you're not already on Clubhouse, by the way, guys, please do me a favor and follow myself. My username is at Adam Strong. Rory, what's yours?
At RC Atkinson.
There you go, RC Atkinson. So make sure you follow us on Clubhouse. You'll be able to get notifications on our on some of the events. We got loads of events coming up on Clubhouse, and there is just some wicked conversations. And the beauty about Clubhouse is that you can get like some really good one-on-one coaching, get some really good input from some really top speakers, millionaires and, just real leaders in their field. And I just love that about Clubhouse, the whole kind of connection. I think they really nailed it there. So
no, it's an amazing platform. It needs a little bit of work. It's still in beta, so forgive it for being a little bit clunky here and there.
Absolutely.
But I really do think it's a fantastic platform. I mean, I'll give you a simple example, Adam. This weekend, I spent 4.5 hours total on Clubhouse. I just jumped into random rooms and started some conversations and had like business rooms, and the conversations in them were actually all really good. So don't just think I was just dropping in on random things and wasting my time. But I landed up with 3 leads out of that. Three separate leads out of it. Sweet. And that's for 4.5 hours worth of just popping in randomly to play around with the application. So
absolutely,
give it a bash, guys. Have a conversation.
Very good. So listen, guys, I was going to say, hope you, by the way, I just want to say a big thank you to you, Rory, for being on the show today. I really appreciate that and sharing some of your tips and insights on marketing. So that's really cool. So thanks very much for that. And listen, guys, if you are interested in connecting with Rory, please do so on his social media links on below. Rory's going to be one of our speakers on the Game Changers Summit, which is free to join. Start January 27th to 29th. Make sure you click on the link below and you'll be able to listen to Rory amongst 23 other speakers, including myself and the likes of Natasha Grano, which we've already mentioned, and people like Marshall Goldsmith and people like Dr. John D. Martini as well. Absolutely huge lineup, massive lineup. It's going to be epic. We're going to have a lot of fun. And the beauty about it is that it's going to be live, which means it's going to be connection. It's going to be, you're just going to be surrounding yourself with super successful people. That's going to take your life and your business to the next level. So listen, enough chit chat. Hope you've enjoyed the show today.
Yeah.
And
thank you very much for having me on, Adam.
Awesome, Rory. Take care of yourself, everybody, and see you soon. Take care.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
hello, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, you guys, I just want to say thank you so much for listening in to this episode of the Game Changers Experience. I hope that you got some amazing value, some great insights, and golden nuggets that you can implement into your business straight away. I would really, really appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star review on the button below. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.